What drives us? What makes us move? Why do you get up every morning? Is it to explore something new? Or maybe you're looking for something you haven't found before. Maybe that promotion is right around the corner. Maybe you thought it was all about the journey. Or was it about the destination? Either way, you'll realize it's just you and your thoughts, your dreams, your aspirations. Is this what motivates you? Knowing that you did something incredibly difficult? You did something that nobody else wanted to do. Or maybe you just want to get recognized. You want to be taken seriously. You want to prove to people that with hard work, dedication, and persistence, you can succeed. Your goals can be achieved. Perhaps there's someone in your life that you want to provide for. Take them by the hand, lead by example, show them the way. Or maybe you just do it for the love. Maybe it's just about helping others or making an impact and showing them that you want to be the change in their lives and that you love them. And if life ever knocks you down, don't worry. Just pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, tend to your wounds, and get back after it. Hi everyone, and welcome back. I am your host, Justin Chuck. Today is episode 3 of Under the Microscope, brought to you by AIM Physical Therapy. Today we're going to discuss motivation and what drives me to do what I do. Last week, I spent most of my workouts doing mobility, working on my hamstring adductors, as well as hitting end range mobility for my ankle and knee joints to improve my loading mechanics when doing ground-related activities like squatting and lunging. And as a result, I had to spend some time recovering on those areas, especially my ankle, which was feeling clicky, and some crepitus or some joint sounds whenever I was stepping or loading into my foot as I walked around the house. As I was working on these areas, I felt like I had to work on the pronaus longus and the pronaus brevis, which runs along the back of the lateral malleoli. It helps with initial contact as I'm walking with that inversion to eversion motion. And so what I'm doing is I'm just putting pressure along the back and to kind of move my ankle into eversion as I just put pressure and kind of help assist the bones to move as I'm giving pressure here along the back of my ankle as well as in the front of my ankle. I will generally work on any injured parts until I feel that it is better or healthy enough for me to continue to work out or do whatever I want to do. But for the most part, I will work on any issues or soft tissue or joint issues or anything that needs strengthening or stretching or loosening or stretching. Basically, I will work on it for as long as I need to until my body feels happy enough to want to work out. So moving into this week and transitioning from last week, I continue to work on my core. I will continue to work on my overhead cleans. I will continue to work on my shoulder mobility and stability. And I am just going to have more of a consistent warm-up routine. I want to develop a solid exercise routine where I'm allowed to loosen up my hips, loosen up my back, loosen up my core, stretch my legs. And I just want to consistently do this over the next few weeks. I want to really dedicate my practice to mobility training because I believe that it is important to warm everything up and have a system of checkups or self-assessments prior to starting your workout. That way, you will become more in tune with how your body is feeling day to day. You will get more familiar with areas of concern and help you to reflect on how your body is moving and performing, and get you to want to be more in control of your body, and you will hopefully think about how to take care of it as you move forward. And the great thing about having a great warm-up routine is that it can help you to self-assess and just get a better understanding of how is your body doing right now. And the exercise that you're doing to test yourself is also the exercise that you'll do to help yourself get better. So it's a win-win. Just like America's favorite participation trophy, everything counts here. So just do your best to the best of your ability and don't let it hurt. And over time, you just need time, you'll eventually get better at it. In conclusion, do anything, just move your body and try, and you will get better. But you can't just do random things. You need to have focused results. So you have to have a program in place, and that program starts with a good warm-up routine. So I think that the most difficult part about doing this routine is staying consistent. It's actually doing it every day in and out, having the discipline, coming into the room and sweating it out each day, and making that commitment and that effort is what's really challenging. Not the actual effort and the exercise itself, but it's being consistent. So what I want to do is just be as consistent as I can, make the effort, and do my best. Having a mobility program or a stretching program with a warm-up routine is an everyday activity that must be done. Why is that? If you want to maintain mobility and keep your movements for the rest of your life, you have to practice them daily, because if you don't move it, you lose it. Why does this matter so much? Why is it so important to do these basic stretches and movements? Because they are basic stretches and movements. These are the fundamental movements, the small steps, the things that we need to do every single day if we want to have a healthy moving body. And it's these little daily habits, these repeated actions, that are going to have a grand impact on our lives in the long run. It's this mastery of your body's basic and fundamental movements that will help you to maintain and sustain a healthy life without putting any limitations on your body's desire to do whatever it wants to do. Now, the saddest moment for me going through PT school was during an exercise physiology class where we were discussing the body's aging changes throughout lifetime. And we learned that earlier on in life, right, things are booming and moving at such a fast rate, and your body is having such an amazing ability and an amazing time to recover and metabolize food. You can do anything you want, eat anything you want, stay up late, or not even sleep at all. But once you hit age 30, your body's ability to recover or perform starts to change. During your earlier years, everything is on the up and up. Your hormones are surging, you're still developing, and your body's trying to do its best to stabilize, and then you're able to stabilize and plateau for just a little bit, and then you hit 30 and it just goes on a downhill. Your organs, they start to lose their function, waste products start to build up in your tissues, your body becomes stiffer, you lose muscle mass, tissue mass. But these changes, they don't happen all at once. They take place very slowly and over a long period of time. So over the course of your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and the time when I really see the people suffering the most into their 70s, the people that I meet with the most, that is the time when they tell me that they just wish their body used to move like it used to. It don't move like it used to, they would say. And they just wish they had time to go back to when they were younger, when everything worked again and everything was so smooth and so easy. And they tell me to never get old, right? Don't get old. Getting old sucks. But I don't think that's true. It doesn't suck for everybody. Not everybody is aging terribly. It just depends on how much you move. right? Because if you don't move it, you lose it. So just to recap, I was doing a stick mobility warm-up series. I was working on going overhead and to rotations, side bends. I was now trying to improve my lunge position. I wanted to improve my forward lunge, my side lunges, and I am now working on an Indian club warm-up series for my shoulder. This club is 3 pounds, and I am basically trying to hit all ranges of motion, hitting all 3 planes, and working on rotations, pronations, supinations, basically because I had injured my left elbow and had surgery on it. And when I had first improved my recovery, I thought I was okay because I had gotten discharged from physical therapy. They told me I could flex and extend my arm, and I could do basic bicep curl and some tricep extensions. So they told me I was okay. But later it turned out I couldn't do other functional things or things that involved rotation or complex movements through space instead of just going through up and down, you know, moving through multiple planes of movement like a throw or doing a basketball layup. I had a lot of issues doing throwing miscues or chopping movements, and I didn't realize just how involved my movements were. I had to recover everything. So one of the things that I had learned is that you have to work through these movements. You don't want to feel like you're straining in. You want to breathe with the movements and feel like you're totally in control. So I'm really excited to get this new Onnit steel mace. It is going to be a great addition to my 3-pound club and my 6 and 8-pound sandbag clubs. So this is going to be great for me. I'm super excited. I will be able to do some different things because it's a little bit longer handle. I will be able to do bigger and more challenging positions because of the leverage that I'm going to be able to get with that longer handle and that weight distribution. So I'm really excited to be able to play with it once it gets here. This is going to be something that I'm going to do probably daily. It's not something that I am going to put an emphasis that will make me big and strong, but it will help me with my shoulder stabilizers. It'll help me with my grip strength. It's going to help me with being able to do more functional movements, things that you won't be able to do with just, say, a regular weight. So I'm looking forward to being able to use it, being able to play with it, and hopefully just make it an everyday part of my workout experience. So thank you, Joe Rogan, and Onnit to this cool steel mace. Movement inspires me, and loss of movement scares me. For someone my age, I have already had multiple surgeries on various body parts and had to deal with weakness, pain, and all the insecurities of whether or not I will be the same person I once was. Injury is one of my biggest motivators. I want to stay healthy, and I have had multiple injuries back to back to back, and that fear lives deep down inside of me, and it's something that I don't want to go through ever again. It's such a vulnerable experience. You know, it's terrible feeling like you'll never become what you once were, and it can be even more frustrating when you feel like you don't have all the answers or a clear path on how to get yourself back to who you were. I consider myself lucky to have gone through these experiences at such a young age because it helped to shape who I am and prepared me, I think, for what may come as I get older and have to deal with the effects of aging. All of my injuries forced me to search for the answer. I needed to know for myself how to get back to doing what I used to do. How do I get stronger? How do I make sure this doesn't happen to me again? I was relentless, working on mastering movements again, and researching exercises, and studying health, and this all inspired me to pursue physical therapy school. And now, with my own personal experiences, my clinical experience, I want to share the things that I've learned and help anyone else get back onto the fast track to recovery and inspire them to achieve beyond what they thought they could be. So here we are. I am working on some more mobility. This is a little bit later on in the week, and as you can see, I can move a little bit faster. I have a little bit more spry in my step, I've got a little bit more juice. I have more speed. I am working a little bit faster through some of these transitions, and it really is something that is more like a flow. I'm not really trying to do anything specifically. I have general movements that I have in mind, but I'm mostly just working on what feels like I need to get moved or worked out. This is kind of the second or third movement set that I've worked on, and so I'm kind of just playing around and experimenting and trying to see what feels normal, what feels like I need to be working on, what feels like I haven't been here before. So it's a lot of play and exploration and fun. This isn't anything where I'm, stressing out too hard about what I'm stretching. I'm just trying to stretch out, move, enjoy the sun, and explore as much movement as I can, and try and be as creative as I can, because the more comfortable I get and more familiar I get with certain movements, that means I can explore out and do something a little bit more creative and different than I have before. So this is really nice. It's gonna teach me to be more creative and to really explore my movements and have me doing things that I haven't normally done before. And it's very exciting because, I always feel like I get stuck in a rut where I'm always doing the same routine, and I've really taken it upon myself to try and explore new movements, new exercises, new ways of training, so that I can further prepare my body to get in better shape. Because the more ways I train, the different ways I cross train, the better it will be for my body's health, because it won't be seeing too much of the same stuff. And I am enjoying this time off and this break from being at work all the time. I get to spend time with my child and do some fun little runs together and make home videos, and it's just been a great time being able to share this experience with him and continue to train together and make a family bond. So I'm both not excited about having to stay at home, and it's concerning that there are people out there that might be really affected by this, and I hope they are able to make it through. But I'm just appreciative of being able to spend some time with my family and enjoying that time. So I'm just trying to make the best of what we've got going on right now. And I'm now spending a lot of time just doing DIY stuff. So I'm making an agility ladder and a lunge grid. It's going to be a great functional way for me to plot out how far I'm going. What's up, Twitter world? It's your boy Justin Chuck here, representing AIM Physical Therapy. So today what I did was I just kind of wanted to look at my training habitat and see if there's anything that I could do to make it better. So I added a little string, as you can see, that runs along the wall, side to side. It's good for bobbing and weaving. And I also added, I don't know if you can see, but it's an agility ladder. All right, so here it is. This is my little makeshift duct tape DIY agility ladder slash matrix. I'm really excited. I created my agility ladder and my lunge matrix. I put up a slip line. Now I can take my training to another level. I can do different things. I can work on agility. I can work on my lunging. I've put down some markers on the floor so that I can tell how far I've gone. And it's really exciting. I've all kind of done this with just minimal materials, and it's just going to be a really cool way for me to just make an additional change in my training environment and do some extra activities. So because of all of my previous injuries, my left elbow is definitely one of my weak points. I notice it whenever I do any of these shoulder stabilization exercises, so it's something that I want to keep an eye out for. I've been working on it now that I got that steel mace. I can definitely tell anytime I use my left elbow and have to go up and around, I almost feel like I'm about to knock myself in the head. So it's definitely been an exciting, fun new thing. I have to just play it really careful and play it safe because this is not a toy. You hit yourself, it does kind of hurt a little bit because it's a steel mace, but it's not, it's not been too bad to me lately because I've been able to control it, but this is definitely not easy. I'm working very hard to control that movement. This is nice here. I'm just working on, this is a long hold, so I broke this video up, but I've actually was doing this for about like 3 minutes, just staying in this position, stretching out my shoulders. It feels really good. And working on wrist pronation, wrist supination. I've had issues with this ever since my surgery on my left elbow, and I'm really happy that I get to move it around and practice doing it. I'm putting my arm in the best mechanical position, so I'm not actually working that hard. I'm just really just controlling the movement, letting the movement happen. This one is also really good for me because I have had very weak grip strength, especially at my wrist. I have not had very good ulnar and radial deviation along my wrist and forearm, so this is a really sweet move. I like it. It feels like I'm drawing out a sword. So not only is it fun, but it's also great for my body. And here's another day just kind of working on more agility ladder, more training, working on footwork. It's been a while since I've got to do these on an actual agility ladder, and I'm just kind of playing around. I'm just thinking in my head like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? I did get into a little bit of a habit of kind of doing one of them a couple of times, a little bit more, but I thought it was fun. It was just me trying to practice some new things that I hadn't done before, so that's why I was doing them a little bit extra. But basically, I'm just trying to stay creative, try and do as many new little moves possible and keep it fresh and try and challenge myself as much as possible. And I can definitely tell when I need to think, like I have to slow down. My brain's like thinking, it's like, and it's just really fun and challenging. Not only is it challenging for my body, but it's challenging for my mind. And I really feel great after I do a workout like this. So it's been nice to stay out and be active, even with this whole situation. And I'm super fortunate that I can still work, and not only work, but work from home. And when I do go out, it's also really cool because I see tons of my neighbors. I see that everyone else is out there and being active and walking together as a family. So this time has been really encouraging and super fun. I'm just trying to make the best of it, and I see that everyone else is too. It's been kind of cool because I've never really gotten to know my neighbors, and now that we are home, we see each other all the time. We say hello, and we've gotten to know each other quite well, and so it's just a great time. Even though it's so concerning, we're trying to make the best of the whole social distancing, and it's been one of the weirdest years so far. I am hopefully gonna use this time to be constructive and creative and do as many cool and fun things that I can, especially now that my child is at home. It's I don't know about anyone else, but this is really forcing us to be creative with entertaining them because they require so much stimulation and all that. So it's just been a blast staying at home and being able to work and work out. It's awesome. Besides working on my mobility and agility, one of my goals for this year, in lieu of the Olympics, was to improve my overall strength and master my Olympic lifting skills. I need to work on the power clean, the front squat, the squat clean, push jerk, power snatch, and the squat snatch. Most, if not all, of these movements are very foreign to me. I grew up playing ice hockey, soccer, golf, track, and cross country, and I didn't lift weights very much at all because my body type wanted me to do things more like running or body weight movements. So I was able to, run and be agile and stop and start quickly and do light body weight stuff like push-ups and pull-ups and do things like floor mobility. So I liked rolling around, tumbling, and doing flips. So lifting for me was a very foreign concept. And because I didn't do any lifting, my small frame resulted in me suffering a lot of injuries growing up. I'm not going to go over them again, but we can always recap at another time. But I wished that I had learned the fundamental strength and conditioning exercises in the weight room during high school, because if I had had that, I feel like I would have been able to have a bigger body structure, bigger body frame, more muscle mass, and maybe I wouldn't have had as many injuries. I would have had more time to develop some of these movements and skills and improve my range of motion. And finding it now that, when I'm working with these kettlebells, it's me just trying to get familiar with weightlifting. So I think this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this year and having some time to kind of work on strengthening my muscles, because, we have that time. So I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that, you want to improve as much movement, strength development before the age of 30, because you want to capitalize on your age and your ability to recover and build muscle mass. Now, I've always asked my patients the same type of questions, and I've noticed a pattern where I will see an older person who is in great shape, who is just coming in to work on an issue that's hindered a part of their life, but hasn't really affected how they function overall. Whereas I have met other patients who have not been as active in their life. They're coming in for more serious diagnoses, and I know that a lot of this is just anecdotal evidence, but I've seen this in other parts of my life as well, where I've met and worked with very young people, even in, age 10, who are having difficulties, doing functional things like going up and down stairs, getting up and down from the floor, sitting to standing, or even just like simple coordination stuff like running, stopping and starting, or moving sideways, or doing jumping jacks. But when I ask them about their activity habits, they oftentimes will tell me that they are not very active at all, or they spend a lot of time sitting or in front of the television or computer. Now, it suggests to me that inactivity might be their issue, or something that might be contributing. And I know that sometimes when you do a lot of these more challenging things, like Olympic lifts, they feel difficult, they feel challenging, and sometimes they might cause you to lose balance and fall over, or might even have you to have, some pains here and there. But overall, I know that they are beneficial and they will help, at least with my fundamental strength and conditioning. So this is the reason why I wanted to work on the 6 Olympic lifts. And I think there's a reason why China, at least, and some of the other programs in Russia and Eastern Europe have been successful. They have a lot of the medals that have been won in the Olympics, and mostly I've learned is that they have very good scouting programs, and they pick out these kids from the age of 8 or 9 that have, good lifting technique and already, and might have very good bone structures and might be ideal candidates for weightlifting. So it makes sense that they would be very good at it because they've been practicing and coached at it from such a young age. But I don't think that that's necessarily a bad idea. I think that all people should learn some of these fundamental strength and conditioning movements. They don't have to be doing it for getting into the Olympics, but I think that working with kettlebells and with these lighter weights, or even just working with the barbell, or I think that is good for overall strength and conditioning. I enjoy doing it, and I don't feel like I'm destroying my body working with these kettlebells. I know I was sore a little bit, definitely into the next week, but that's okay. It's definitely not as bad as doing it any other way with a isolated strength movement. But I definitely feel like people need to spend more time working on larger, more complex movements and some of these Olympic lifting movements, because they're some of the foundational movements that we will need to do heavy lifting, or picking things up, carrying things, and lifting them over our heads, right? This is one of the most essential things, like being able to put something up above, your luggage on an airplane, cabinet. I think that's one of the things that I've heard the most is that people hurt themselves putting their luggage up in the airplane or trying to put something up in a high cupboard. So being able to lift up and press over your head is such an essential movement, and it's so important to have strength, because if you don't have strength, your body might break down and get injured. And that's the thing that I tend to see the most, are these little common injuries where people are putting things up above their shoulders or their head, and they're putting things into cabinets and to bins, or putting in light bulbs, and they feel like that was the time where they strained themselves. So I've just learned that what I think is not only important for their development, but even for me, even at my stage 2, I don't think it's too late for myself to start learning some of these lifting habits, because I think that it will help me start to develop this strength as I go into my 30s, 40s, and 50s. So like I said, it's not lost or yet. I don't think that it's too late for at any point for most people to do some strength training. Now, ideally, you would love to have happened and done this yesterday. They have that saying, well, the best time to invest was yesterday. But you know what? The second best time is right now. So that's what I decided to do, is I decided to focus on getting my Olympic lifts up this year. I was afraid of them. I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing, but YouTube is great. Even for someone who like a physical therapist like me, I don't know everything. So I go to YouTube, of course. And, I'm just trying my best to work on some techniques. All right, so here we go. This on my right side is the best one that I was able to put together. Everything else after that was pretty much not so great. I think the thing that I'm trying to work on the most here is my pull and getting my wrists down and back and underneath my body, and then being able to complete the resting part on my shoulders, but staying bent through my knees and hinging forward from my hips. One of my main issues that I have is that I pull up and then I'll stay too far back and I don't hinge forward from my hips so that the weight is brought more forward. So I either tend to lose a balance backwards and more onto my heels, or I'll bend too much through my knees and then my heels will come up off of the floor. So I definitely think, the next movement that I need to be working on is my front squat, because the front squat is going to keep the bar in the same position here in the front, and it's going to work on the squatting as I load up here. So I need to be able to squat a little bit more and deeper, but I don't. That's one of my main issues that I'm having here, is that I can pull up, I can get the power clean, but I don't finish very well at all. So I'm still working on pulling up and squatting and hinging forward from my hips. I stay in too much thoracic extension, and I think that's probably because of the cues that I'm giving myself. I'm really focused on trying to pull up and back, keeping my neck engaged the whole time because I don't have as much strength. So this is all very new to me. I'm still leaning back and not having a good time bending forward from my hips and keeping my weight over the front of my body. So that's one thing that I'm going to be working on throughout this next coming week, is that I want to be able to not just clean up my form from the setup, but also be able to finish this particular exercise. So I definitely think, I'm working on the beginning phases of my Olympic lifting skills and abilities. The next phase is going to be the front squat, which is going to help me to develop the strength that I'm going to need to do a power snatch. And before I can do my power snatch, I need to work on my push jerk. So once again, I just kind of wanted to recap why I do what I do. I know for me, one of my biggest insecurities and my fears is that I am going to get hurt again, or that I might not be strong enough. I know also I just enjoy the love, and I have the curiosity, and I like the challenge of doing something new. So I have a lot of different things that kind of motivate me and push me. It's not just one thing, it's a lot of different things kind of all pulling together and pushing me to go in one certain direction. But I have learned over time, that there are some things or contributing factors that might
make you age a little bit faster and lose some of your strength. I know that's one of the big things that I'm concerned about as we get older and we move into the aging population. We lose muscle mass, we lose fast twitch muscle fibers. Our body just doesn't work the same way that it did before. We don't recover nearly as fast. And a lot of these things can be influenced by, our daily habits, our lifestyle, our nutrition, our diet, our stress levels. So I know that a lot of this stuff is very important. So to me, I want to continue to find ways to decrease any of those things that might cause me issues. Like, I want to improve my nutrition. I want to be able to decrease my stress levels. I want to create a lifestyle that is positive and beneficial for me. And I also want to do all the things that are going to help me to stay healthy, like exercising daily and consistently. I want to work on not just one thing, but I want to master multiple things. This motivates me. I want to be able to master multiple skills. I want to get stronger. I want to improve my cardiovascular tolerance. I want to improve my endurance. I want to get better flexibility. All of these things matter to me. I don't think of my training and my fitness as just one-dimensional. I think of it as much like how you would be investing in your health, for your finances. You want to be investing for your health. So I believe in having a diverse portfolio, and this is something that I will continue to do into my later years. So thank you so much for checking in. This was the third episode of Under the Microscope. I was just discussing what motivates me, what drives me to do what I do. Next week, I will be continuing to work on my mobility, my flexibility, my core strength, my body strength, and I will continue to explore new movements, new ranges of motion as I start to get more familiar with the stretches that I'm already doing. And I will just continue to reassess each week and see where I want to go and what things that I want to do. So hopefully you stick around and follow me along on this journey. Appreciate you coming through, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.